Yeah, welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the real stories in a battle and defining moments that shape who we become. Today, I'm joined by Michael Yearby, 24 years Air Force Minister Sergeant, so an earning our mindset, and a leader using storytelling to build resilience, intelligence, and stronger life. It's really a pleasure having you on the show, Mike.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. So, Michael, what challenges shape who you are today?
Oh man, it's a lot of challenges, but I would say the most is just basically, I say honestly, with people, understanding people in their folly, giving grace to people, and just moving forward, even when they do something to make you mad or
Mm,
piss you off, and just working with people no matter what. I would say those the biggest challenges that you face because it's more internal. Because it's like, okay, this person pissed me off, but I'm not gonna hold this grudge. I'm gonna let it go, and I'm gonna be able to work forward. And it takes a lot of selflessness to do that, and it shows you where you really are, especially when confrontations you come up with people where you are as a person. It's really challenging. It can be really challenging, and also you do a lot of soul searching.
yeah, amazing, amazing. I think there's a whole lot to learn here because most of our problems sometimes a higher percent of it is people's problem and understanding them and giving them the grace to grow. It's
Mhm.
really a whole lot. So growing
Mhm.
up in the toughest part of Miami, what did survivor teach you about identity or before leadership ever did?
Honestly, it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about respect, especially when you're dealing with people, and then also what poverty does to people. So when people feel like that phrase we use nowadays, we got to get it out the mud, right? We use that phrase a lot, and it's like what that means is like no matter what, we're gonna do something about this. Might not be legal, but illegal. So it taught me that poverty plays a picture in somebody's reality and their perspective of doing things. And then also it taught me, like I said, respect, about how to respect people, common decency for people, no matter where they are. If they're rich, they're poor. Showing respect, saying yes sir, yes ma'am. You know what I'm saying? And
Thank you,
just being
boss.
respectful and not being flashy or anything like that. No, because that's difficult. Because a lot of times in Miami, I'm not sure if you've ever been. Miami could be a city of flash where everybody got to have the nice gold chain. They got to have the golds in their mouth. They got to be showing and they got to be splurging in some type of way to show I get money, I have money, and this is what I can do with my money. And then just not do that, to be humble, to let who you are resonate. Those are, I would say, the lessons that I learned for any type of military.
Amazing. So was there a moment in your military career where you realized that rank doesn't equal inner strength?
I learned that very quickly, very quickly. I would say my first base taught me that even more because I came in with no rank. I came in like what they call is a slick sleeve at the time. So basically, that means you're just an airman basic. You're the lowest of the low. And so because of that, a lot of times I'm a very one of those people that would you call an innovator, and as well as an a person who executes really well. So if I think of something, I know how to execute it, and I'm actually willing to go through the whole process, the lengthy process to execute. What happened was when I was an airman, I thought of a tool or device we can use and get it made. And no one wanted to listen at all to me because I was just a young airman. What do I know about this? I don't have the years upon years of experience or have the rank or cachet, I guess, to say it properly. So long story short, what ended up happening is I came up with some designs. Some people actually worked with me and we got a tool made when I was just a young airman. And it kind of like it helped people to see me in a different fashion where man, he doesn't have the rank, but he does have somewhat of ingenuity and intelligence, right? And so privately, what people end up doing is like consulting me about certain things,
Wow.
and I'm not sure if that's a good thing, but that's just,
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So you have
yeah.
talked about
So
opening out, losing yourself or during your first marriage. What did that season reveal about who you thought you were versus who you really are?
I say it shattered a lot of illusions because, and it showed me that what I thought I had, I really didn't. A lot of times as a man, we think, if your wife decides to skip out on you, what are you doing? You can't please her, or something like that. That wasn't the case. And, you feel like, hey, man, to be with her, you got to give her everything. And even if you try to give everything, that doesn't mean she's going to stay. You can't force a relationship. you can't force two people to come together and then you on your own have the power. It takes two people to be willing to come together. That's one thing I really learned about a relationship. It's like, and at any time, no matter if how, we on statistics a lot. We say, oh, well, the first 5 years is the toughest of a marriage. If you get past the first 5 years, or some statistics say 3, then, you're halfway there. That's a trap. That's a lie. You will have tough battles throughout any years of your life, no matter if you've been married 10, 15, 20, 30, it doesn't matter. What matters though is that person, because that person is a person, right? And they have their own trauma and different things they have to deal with. What really matters is if that person's willing to talk to you and willing to make the sacrifices needed to keep the relationship together.
Yeah,
And for me,
amazing.
when that my yeah. And so when my trust was like taken away from me, I had a choice to make, right? And I personally made the choice to separate. I just couldn't do it at all. And so I knew the consequences because I did have children with her, and I knew my children was going to feel some type of way. I kind of didn't know, but then found out later, when a person's upset that you didn't that it's not that I didn't forgive her. She was mad that I didn't move on with her. I did later on forgive, but the problem is that I didn't stay married to her. And so she used that as an opportunity to scorn my kids against me, so it was a lot, man. When
Yeah,
I say I
yeah,
learned so many lessons, so many good lessons, so many really, really, really good lessons. And when I thought I had a happy home, it was an illusion. That wasn't a happy home out. And the reason I say that is because, like, I figured like, hey, our family business is our family business, right? So don't tell people your business. But one thing I learned as we was going through that divorce, a lot of people thought my ex couldn't do that. They was like, oh man, she's really quiet. She would never. Oh my goodness, like, are you sure? And it's like, yeah, no, like I'm positive. Like I'm going through this. Yes, yes. And they couldn't believe it. And it's like, not saying that you tell people your business, but what I'm trying to say is that people you can when people say, oh man, y'all a great relationship together. I would say you don't have to tell them your struggles,
yeah,
but you could let them know, like, hey man, it's not peaches and rainbows or what you think. So breaking that grand illusion that people had for our relationship was really tragic to a lot of people, even myself, because I felt like a failure. And
yeah, amazing. And I'm glad you're able to kind of forgive and move on. Yeah, so you once believed that you weren't smart enough for college, or you earned a master's degree in 4 years. What mindset shift did that made that possible?
honestly, my wife now that I have, she was a pivotal for me, and that's why I said I understand how relationships work. It's like now, working with a partner that actually cares about you and constantly makes the effort with you and together. You can be vulnerable around. You can lay your head down on them. You know what I'm saying, and they can do the same for you. She helped me out a lot. Basically, I confessed to her, like, hey, because she was like, hey, did you ever think about going to school? And I kind of blew it off for a while. And she was like, what's going on? So I finally told her, I said, hey, I feel stupid. I feel dumb. I have a hard time reading. Like when I read, the words kind of mess up. It changes. And she's like, well, read for me. And I was reading for her. And then so she was like, okay, I'm not trying to pick on you. You might be dyslexic because the way you describe it and the way you're reading and what I looked up, it kind of fits. And she said, but one thing I did notice, when you read, you comprehend very well. She said, so it might take you longer to read, and I can read fast. She said, but I don't comprehend as fast as you. She said, it takes you longer to read, but when you do, you got it. And then she's like, that's a real gift. And I was like, okay. And then so I was still scared to go to school. And she said, hey, do this. She said, hey, take one class. And if you need me, I'll take a class with you. And she said, hey, if I have to funnel you answers, I will. Of course, she never took a class
Yeah,
with
that
me.
was really
And she
encouraging.
just did. She said that to support me, right? And so I took one class, and then I was like, it's not that bad. She like, see, it's not bad. And I took two, and I liked it. And then I started going in. And one thing I did notice what she said is that I actually comprehend a lot. So when I read, it takes me longer to read, but I got it. And I was able to like bust all my work out. And what she did, because we do have two small children, together, she made sure that I had time to study. So when I was coming home, like, hey, babe, I got schoolwork. She'd be like, okay, you got schoolwork. So is it probably gonna take a couple hours? I said, yes. So she like, and so she'll make me dinner and take care of the kids
Good.
while I was in there, and make sure I had that
Yeah.
space to take, do what I had to do. So that's the reason why I was able to, in 4 years, go from not having a degree at all
Yeah.
to having a master's degree.
Wow, that was really amazing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anime has played a huge role in your work. What was the first time you realized that anime wasn't just an entertainment for you, but a mirror?
I would say so. I lived in Japan for 7 years in Okinawa, Japan. So one thing I used to love doing is going to the manga shops and getting fresh manga and reading it, right? And I'm not sure if you ever been to Japan. Japan has like they have how to explain it. They have social groups like that. They're like cult followings of different animes, right, and different
Yeah.
mangas. And so it's thousands. When I say thousands, thousands of different storylines of different characters, arcs, everything, just all you can imagine. And one thing I loved about it is because anime really pull from real life. They did a great job of like writing about life itself. And so when I used to read different mangas and see different animes, I can instantly relate that to something I experienced in my life, what I've gone through, right? And so it's like, oh man, anime is very relatable. And then I have noticed in the past few years that anime went from like, you was a geek to like anime, like you was a nerd. But now it's like, if you don't like anime, like you kind of like, like you're dumb if you don't like anime. Watch that change how people do stuff, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's like it's pretty awesome. So, and that's why I thought of the anime mindset because it's something that helped me. And I know that it could probably help people as well, that they can relate to exactly when I talk about Aaron from Attack on Titans, or when I talk about Goku from Dragon Ball
Yeah.
Z, or when I talk about, Luffy from One Piece. They get it instantly.
Yeah, yeah, amazing, amazing. Actually, more like enhanced communication and being that you're able to relate with a common basis. So you have actually laid and mentored out thousands of people. What is the most common internal battle you see leader quietly fighting?
I would say the most common thing I see is I wouldn't say it's anything common. I mean, that's a great question. That's a
Say,
great question because it's like I'm trying to think of it's like usually there are commonalities, but there's not really because how people operate like is always kind of dressed up differently. Well, I would say the base function of things is pretty the same, right? But there's really no like everybody has like a almost like a unique twist to things, and I don't want to generalize, but I would say one thing that is seen a lot. It's just the basic concepts of feelings and emotions of feeling neglect. Those base emotions that everybody feels, right? It's just I guess go how we express it and go about it is different. Right? So yeah.
yeah, amazing. Thank you. So, what is one truth about manhood leadership or resilience that people don't talk about?
I would say that we're a lot more alike than different. And that's probably something that we don't talk about a lot. And what I mean by we're a lot alike is that we all go through problems and we all need help. A lot of times people don't think they need help, they just think they need themselves. And there's times where you should, retreat to yourself and think, right? Think things through. But I would say that the biggest thing is to like we're more alike. And so since we are more like human existence as I know it, has been around for thousands of years. We have wrote about things that we experience for thousands of years. So the answers, I think, to a lot of these things is one, being able to research, talk to people, and just being open and transparent. I
Yeah.
understand we live in a world that you really can't be sometimes because of how somebody might see you and talk to you. But I'll say there's a difference between understanding and acceptance. And I think a lot of times that people want acceptance for who they think they are and what they are versus understanding. Like I can understand, like, hey man, I understand that's you, that's what you want to do, and that's how you want to live, right? And I can disagree, but I understand you. It's basically empathizing. Like I empathize with that. Okay, cool. But sympathize, I think what they want is acceptance. They want you to sympathize with them. And sympathizing with someone can be very dangerous
Yeah.
because when you sympathize with them, they want you to be as emotionally tethered to what they are or what they're doing as you are. I mean, as they are. So it's dangerous because it doesn't allow you to be logical in your viewpoint,
Yeah.
in your analysis, or anything like that. And that's I say that is huge.
Wow, amazing, amazing. I think this is a whole lot, especially being that being a man, sometimes it's easier to just bottle a whole lot of things that actually speaking up. And the fact that you just make requests, so yeah, speak out, ask, reach out. Yeah, just for understanding most times that will actually want like remove a larger percentage of the burden,
Mhm.
other than just shrugging it off every now and then, whereas when you're going through love. That's amazing. So for someone listening who feel lost or underestimated or very under expectation, what is the first step to reclaim themselves?
I would say one, to realize that again, you're not alone. Two is to stand up and talk to somebody. Like there's a saying in America and just in black culture in general, like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And what that means is if you don't say nothing, don't everybody has their own things in their life. So don't think that someone is gonna be able to be as observant to look at you and be like, he doesn't look like everything's going right in his life. Let me go talk to him. A lot of times people wait for you to say, hey man, I have this situation going on. I need some advice. Because, how people react is like, if I know you're upset, I'm not going to come to you and be like, hey man, are you okay? Usually I'm going
Yeah,
to wait for you to calm down and I'm going to wait for you to be willing to have this conversation. Because if I come to you and say, hey man, what's going on? 9 times out of 10, you're gonna lie to me. You're gonna say
yeah,
nothing's going on. Or two, you're gonna get embarrassed and be like, no, what does he think? And so it's always err on the side of caution, and I wait till someone's ready to receive anything, advice or whatever it might be. So one, to understand that this is not the first time somebody's going through what you're going through. Two, raise your hand, seek advice, and then three, be willing to execute on it. And don't be scared. When somebody gives you advice, usually, especially if you're asking for it, it's coming from a great place. It's coming from a good
yeah,
place.
yeah,
Be willing to like, okay, he gave me this advice. Let me take the first step in executing this advice. And if you need help going through it with them, say, hey man, thanks for the advice. Can you take the first step with me? I just need that help to take. Thank you for the help with the advice. I need help taking the first step as well. And being willing to be honest and transparent with that. And I think that right there, if you can do that, you'll be on your way to conquering any type of trouble, any type of setbacks you might have in your life.
yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Michael. It's really amazing having this conversation with you and the fact that you had your own struggles too, but at every point just being open and yeah, working with someone else just make it easier. And the fact that you realize and learn from those lessons. Yeah, thank you so much, and it's really amazing.
No problem.
So, for my audience who wants to learn more about you, who wants to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you and where's the best platform?
Easy, very easy. Go to michaelyearby.com, michaelyearby.com. And you can connect with both of my podcasts, from anime to action and also unfiltered conversations. And also I give a lot of free courses and materials because, I understand people, we got to charge and stuff like that, but I do offer a lot of free work and free courses to help people become better people. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So the link is going to be on my show note or your website so that my audience can easily reach out. Yeah, Michael, thank you for your honesty and depth
No
and
problem.
realness in this conversation. For my audience, if today episode resonates with you, you can learn more about my guest and pick up the anime mindset through the link that is going to be on the show notes. This has been the Making of Me podcast, real stories, real growth, and real becoming. Until next time, once again, it's really a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show, Michael.